Hey friend, it is Kate here. Thank you so much for jumping on my channel and more importantly, for joining me for day 14 of our New Year's challenge. Now, if you are brand new here, we are in the middle of a lovely challenge. Each class is a standalone. If you're just coming back because you enjoyed the class and you want to do it again, that's fabulous. If you are jumping in from the middle, that's great too. You can do each and every one as often as you want to. If you want to go back and start from the beginning, I will put a link up there where you can find the first video. Now this week, we have been focusing on our hips, our glutes, our low body, all those muscles that help carry us and kind of move us around our daily life. And we might be feeling a little sore. That's okay. I'm kind of sore today too myself. We are doing a stretch class for our low body today. We do use a foam roller right at the end just for some deeper additional stretching. If you don't have a foam roller, you can do most of what we're doing with either rolling up your mat and placing it underneath your butt, or if you have a yoga block, that works too. If anyone does need yoga blocks for things like low lunge, that might be a good prop to go grab for yourself. But you know, with all of my classes, you can always modify as much as you need to. It's not about looking like me. It's feeling good, strong, secure in our body. So roll out your mat. Let's get going. We'll start standing and we're just going to wake up our hips. Like I said, this is going to be a nice relaxing class, so we'll give our hips a break, our glutes a break, and do some wonderful little stretching. But just start by lifting up a knee and kind of circling it around. And this might feel like such kind of a silly little thing to do, but honestly, I move my hips like this most days, especially first thing in the morning when I feel really tight, just kind of moving around in your ball and socket joint. And if you don't go as fast as I do and you don't lift your knees up as high as I am, that's okay too. It's not about looking perfect. We're just kind of moving in our hips, saying hello to them right now. And then go the opposite direction, out to in, out to in. That might feel really weird if you're not used to going in that direction, but that's okay. Good to challenge ourselves. And then set both feet on the floor. Take a little bit of a wider stance. We're going to feel really silly. Who cares? Hands can come to your hips. We're going to push our hips over to one side and then do a great big circle. And who cares what we look like? No one is watching us. No one is judging us. But really just push your hips nice and far away. Really moving them around. Take them in the other direction. We might feel silly, but who cares? And then pause, stand tall, stand straight. Take a big inhale, reach your hands high. Rotate your pinkies in, lift up and out of the waist. We can stretch our spine, even though this is more about the hips. Flip the palms, push them down. Tuck your chin to your chest, bend your knees. Roll one vertebra at a time all the way down to the ground until you come to a nice big forward fold. Now feel free to bend the knees as deep as you want to and really let your head fall to the ground. And just start to sway your hips right and left. I know it might feel silly to do it this long, but honestly, this is feeling really good to me. Just those simple, tiny movements can make a big difference. Pause center, bend the knees deeper, pull the navel in, roll yourself all the way up to standing. Again, big inhale, reach your hands high, rotate the pinkies in, lift up and away from the floor, and then flip the palms. Tuck the chin to the chest, slowly drop down into your easy forward fold. Hold there for a moment, really let the head fall a little bit deeper. And then a couple of times I want you to bend your knees as deep as you want to and straighten the legs. Bend the knees as deep as you want to go and straighten the legs. You might go even further than me, almost coming down to kind of like a yoga malasana, or keep it a little bit more shallow. It's okay. Your legs might not fully straighten either, and that is fine too. Now, wherever you are, see if you can straighten the legs as much as possible. And I want you to almost lean forward into your hands. If you cannot touch the floor, maybe you're on some blocks, or maybe you have your hands up against a wall or a chair, that's fine. But just see if you can almost tip your butt up to the sky. It's almost like you're trying to stick your butt up. Let the head hang. Take a great big breath. Bend both knees deeply. Slowly roll yourself all the way up to standing. Walk your feet a little wider. Turn your toes away from each other. Put a soft bend in your knee, and then I want you to look down at your knee before we go anywhere. We want to make sure our knees and toes are going in the same direction. My toes are pointing out and away. If my knees are falling in, then I need to adjust my toes, or I need to rotate more and open the knees a little bit wider. Usually speaking, if you bend your knees, you'll see what naturally feels good and allow your toes to point in the same direction. We don't want our knees falling too far away or inward. That's not so good on that joint. So keep them in the same direction. But once you find that soft bend in your knees, take your hands to your thighs, pause, and just take a little sway side to side. Nothing big, nothing crazy. We might feel like a little sumo wrestler here, that's okay. And then pause center, and I want you to drop your left shoulder down and look past your right. Now, this can be just about that twist, kind of looking over the shoulder, but really what feels good to me is pushing my left hand into my left thigh and almost rotating it away from the middle of my body while I look over. Sometimes it feels nice to sink a little deeper into that great big kind of second plie. Come on up, same thing other side, look over, and again, I'm not just like kind of sinking into it, I'm rotating my right inner thigh away from my body as I drop my shoulder and look up and over. And you might feel something different from one side to the other. That's normal. Our bodies are in balance side to side. Let that go. Look forward, point your toes forward, and then sink again into a great big forward fold. Now, your knees might be bent still, or you might be able to straighten them. It's okay either way. But look through your legs. Really point your sitting bones up to the sky again if you can. And then bend your knees. Roll yourself all the way up to standing. Now from here, all I want us to do is point all 10 toes forward to the left. So our left foot is forward, our right foot is back. Soft bend in the knees. Now it's really easy to immediately kind of dump into our tummy, but we don't want any Beyonce booties right now. We want to pull our navel up and in. Think about squeezing where your thigh and your glute connect. I promise we're not doing a bunch of like active work, but we can open up through the front of our psoas, the front of our hip, if we engage the back of our body a little bit more. And you might be able to deepen the lunge. You might be able to straighten your back leg a little bit more, really squaring both hips forward. Navel to spine, head lifts high. Hands can be on our hips. You can either hold here, or if it feels better for your balance, they can be off to the side. But what I really want you to focus on is almost pressing the front of your right hip forward. It's almost like someone's hands kind of on your booty, punching it further forward while you keep lifting up and away from your waist. Take a big inhale, big breath out. Another big inhale. Exhale, maybe crawl your front toes a little further forward and deepen the lunge if it feels good. We do not have to if it doesn't. Always listen to your body, but keep lifting up and out of your waist. Great big breath. Big sigh out. Now, if you can, straighten your front leg. If there's still a little micro bend there, it's okay. See if you can press your back heel closer to the mat, but still navel to spine, lift out of the waist. Maybe even take your fingertips up to the rafters and stretch, 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 stretch from your hips through your side body out your fingers. We're all gonna be at a different place here. If we can, we're gonna take our hands off to the side, and we're going to take a little hinge forward. Now your hands could be on your hips. They could be to the top of your thigh. You could hold on to a chair, a wall, if that felt better. But I want you to think about pulling the inner thighs together and then very lightly tipping your butt kind of back behind you, almost trying to point your tushy, your sitting bones, to the wall behind you. Take a big deep inhale, big breath out. Another big inhale. Now, if we can, bend your front knee and set both hands down around your front foot. You might walk the back foot a little further away. Now, I like to very lightly sway side to side right here. This gives me just a little bit of range of movement, a range of motion. Your hand might be on your thigh. If you have some yoga blocks, you could put them there. But we're just gonna pause here. And again, like we were doing when we were standing up a little higher in our tall lunge, squeeze your thud and then point the front of your hip forward. For me, I like to think about pointing my pubic bone towards my left heel, that front heel, almost pushing it further forward. So I get a great big stretch to the front of my that's my right hip. Now we might stay right here. You can also softly drop your knee down to the ground. Toe can be tucked or untucked. I like to untuck the toe. That removes pressure from my knee. And again, maybe we sway lightly side to side. Maybe you push your front hip a little further forward. I'm not gonna lie, that feels really good for me right now. I could hang out here a little longer. Listen to your body when you're stretching, when you're doing these things. You can always stay in a position a little longer than me. You can come out sooner. I really just want you to feel confident, strong, secure in your own body. And then I want you to bring your hand on the inside edge of your left foot and heel toe the foot away. We might drop our hands down onto the mat, and again, almost push your pubic bone towards your front left heel. So you can almost open up through the front of your right psoas a little bit more. And we might sway a little side to side right here. Again, that feels really good to me right now. I could hang out there. I am a little sore myself today. So I've been working hard along with you, don't you worry. If you're feeling sore, so am I. Now we might pause right there, and from here, if we have the range of motion, I just want you to push your hips back behind you and then rock them forward. Push them back and rock them forward. You may or may not straighten your front leg. It is not imperative to straighten it, but really it's kind of about finding that movement, that range of motion through our hips. Now, if you want to, push the hips back and walk your hands closer to your hips. If you had yoga blocks, you could be up right here. That would be fine. But I like to tip my little booty back. And again, take a little sway, a little wiggle. Kind of finding some movement in my hips and that ball and socket joint. I feel that a little bit more in my inner and outer thigh when I take that little swivel side to side. Now, eventually pause. Crawl yourself forward if you can. And again, maybe we push our hip just a teeny tiny bit closer to the ground this time. Can you tuck your toe, lift your knee? And then from here, all I want us to do is crawl forward, pointing all 10 toes forward towards me, I suppose, the side of your mat, and find your wide leg forward fold again. Notice, does it feel easier to kind of drop down into that wide leg forward fold? Can we bend the knees? Can we straighten the legs? Does it feel good to kind of reach your head and chest from one side to the other? Notice what that feels like to kind of crawl your hands maybe to the right side of your mat, of your foot, and then over to the left side of your mat, your foot. Come back to center. Again, you do not have to be as low as I am. It's not about matching me. We're just finding what feels good in our hips, in our body, in our legs today. And then do bend your knees. For me, it feels best to turn my legs out as I do that. If you want to keep them parallel, that's great. Roll yourself all the way up to standing. And we're going to do that on the other side. So we will point all 10 toes to the right. Our right foot is forward, our left foot is back. It is easy to dump into our Beyonce booty. You pull your navel in, you lift up out of your waist, squeeze your thigh butt connection point, and almost send the hips a little further forward. What do we want to focus on this side? Is it maybe bending the knee a little deeper? Is it lifting your waist a little higher? Maybe you want to explore what changing your arms does to that stretch. Maybe it feels great just to keep them on your hips. Maybe for your balance, we have them off to the side. But square the hips, squeeze your thud, perhaps bend a little deeper. And then when you feel ready, maybe crawl the toes just a wee bit further forward. Maybe bend the knee a little deeper and then straighten your front leg if you can. Squeeze the inner thighs towards one another, press your back heel towards the mat, lift up and out of the waist. Hands can stay on our hips. They can be off to the side. You could be holding on to a foam roller or a wall or a chair, but take your little hinge forward. When I'm here, I'm really thinking about shifting my hips so they're pointing towards the back edge now of your mat, and I'm pointing my booty back behind me, almost tipping my butt cheek up to the sky. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, bend your front knee and drop down into our great big lunge. Now we can hold here. We can take a little sway, a little wiggle. Think about reaching your knee directly forward, pressing your heel right far back, and then pushing your pubic bone, the front of your pelvis right there, towards your front right heel. You can drop the back knee down, toes tucked or untucked. Again, for me, it feels best to untuck the toes, but we're all a little bit different. And very lightly, we'll take our little sway that we did on the other side. Make sure you're breathing easy, breathing fluidly, no holding our breath and turning beet red. And then take both hands in front of you. Heel toe your foot a little wider, so we're in more of a lizard pose. Once I'm in the lizard pose, for me, it's just a little easier to reach my pubic bone closer towards the mat, kind of opening up that space, both through the front of my left hip and the inner right hip. I feel that a little deeper in my own body in those places. You might be different though. It's okay if you do not feel it in the same place as I do. And then we'll start to push our hips back and rock them forward again. Now, maybe this side needs to be a little bit more dainty, a little more delicate. That's okay. Maybe you've got more range of motion and you can really push your hips forward, send your sitting bones back. Eventually do reach the sitting bones back and then crawl your hands closer to your body. Again, if we need to be up on blocks or if this does not work for us, it's okay. But see if you can shift your hips back. Almost point your butt up to the sky. Give a little wiggle, a little sway. And then as you feel ready, crawl forward. Tuck your back toe if we can. If we're skipping this, it's okay. And then turn to face the front. Find that wide leg forward fold. Again, notice each time I've arrived in my wide leg forward fold, I've gotten a little bit deeper. It's been just a bit easier for me to kind of shift my sitting bones up to the sky. We're all a bit different, so again, you do not have to be as deep as I am. It's absolutely fine. If your feet are a little bit closer towards one another, that's great. If we've got the range of motion, we can take them wider. That's awesome too. No matter where you are though, see if you can bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And then I want you to crawl your hands to the left leg. We might not actually touch the left leg like I am. That's okay. Point your left toes away from your body and bend your right leg. Oh, that feels really good to me right now. Think about almost opening up your right inner thigh away from your body and shifting or kind of sticking your butt up behind you so you can find some more length. You might flex that foot or you can keep it on the ground. It's okay. And then point all 10 toes forward, drop back into that wide leg forward fold. Not gonna lie, I could just hang out here probably for another 15 minutes if I wanted to. But we'll crawl our we'll crawl our hands towards our right foot. You'll point your right toes away from your body and bend your left leg. Maybe flex the foot. Maybe keep it on the floor. Shift your hips back. Point all 10 toes forward. Drop down into that forward fold. Heel toe your feet back underneath your body. Bend the knees deeper. Roll yourself all the way up to standing. Hopefully we're feeling a little bit better. We're gonna grab our foam roller. And again, if you don't have a foam roller, certainly not the end of the world in this class. My suggestion for this very first section would be just to roll up your mat and lie on it instead. That's an easy fix. But for those of us that do have it, this is one of my favorite things to do. Now, Full disclosure, there is no graceful way to lay down on your foam roller. You're gonna feel awkward, and that's all right. But we are gonna place it underneath our sacrum, that big bony plate at the base of our spine. It is not in our low back. Do you see this great big giant back bend that I've created? This is not the place for us to hold the foam roller. You need to push into your heels, lift your tush up higher, and bring it underneath your butt, not the low back. Hold there for a moment. Go ahead, take a big inhale, big breath out, and just let yourself settle. When I've had a long day, this is one of my absolute favorite things to do. Simply lying with it underneath my butt. At any point, it might feel like it's going to fall out from beneath your butt and kind of fall towards your heels. No, that happens to me all the time if that happens to you, so there's nothing to be embarrassed or shamed about. But we're just going to elongate our right leg. Now, you might not be able to straighten the leg all the way. That might feel too much. It's fine. Straighten it as much as you can, and again, just notice what that does to the front of your hip. You might naturally allow your right leg to kind of turn out, or it might stay parallel. Maybe you even play with internally rotating your leg and externally rotating the leg here, noticing how that movement of kind of shifting that ball and socket joint open and close way up high here changes the feeling in our hip, in our low back. You might even feel that a little higher up the spine or down the leg. But just let it settle. And then do hold on to the foam roller. I like to hold on to the sides or kind of around the back edge. Pull the knee into the chest and then hug around your right leg. You can hug underneath the knee pit or on top of the leg, whatever feels better. Stomp into your foot on the floor. That's my left foot. And pull your right knee closer to your body. Circle your right knee around. It's again like we're finding that mobility, that little movement we did at the start of class. Other direction. Straighten the leg up to the sky. It may not straighten all the way, that's fine. Flex the foot, reach your heel up, pull your toes towards like your kneecap. So you're really just flexing the foot as much as possible. And you might take a big inhale. Exhale, think about bringing the thigh closer to your chest. You can hug behind the thigh. You don't have to do that at all. It's not about like shoving the foot really close to your face. Instead, it's elongating the space from your hip that's touching the foam roller through the back of the leg up towards the heel, reaching that heel out and away from your body. Take a big breath. Big sigh out. And then go ahead and cross your right leg over your left in a little figure four. Now again, I can just hang out here for a while. This feels lovely. And you can start to gently kind of twist or sway side to side. Sometimes a really big twist to the left or away from my crossed leg. I kind of get deeper into my low back. I can feel really nice there. But eventually set it on the floor. And then bring, I almost forgot. Elongate your left leg. And if you need to adjust where the foam roller is, that's fine. Always feel free to make adjustments. But once more, just let the leg be heavy. Let it kind of either fall open or stay parallel at first. And just be supported by the foam roller beneath you. And then we can start to internally and externally rotate the leg. Pause, press into your right foot that's bent as you pull the left knee in. And again, you can hug around the knee, underneath the knee pit, whatever feels better. And press down into your right leg as you draw the left leg closer. It's almost like you're trying to part the space between one psoas, the next psoas, and then up to that opposite knee. We can circle the knee around, both directions. And then pull it right on into the chest. Big deep breath. Nice big sigh out. Lift it up to the sky. Once more, take a big flex of the foot, heel to the sky, toes to the face. Stomp down into your right foot. You can keep holding onto the foam roller or take it away. And then as you feel ready, you might use your exhale to guide the leg closer to your body. And I think more about my thigh coming closer to my chest than my toe closer to my face. You can reach for the leg and ask it to come a little bit closer. And then go ahead and start to find that beginning figure 4 pose, just kind of opening the leg off to the side and holding. And maybe we take our little twist. Come back to center. Unravel your right leg and go ahead and cross your left leg one more time. Hold onto the foam roller here and perhaps lift your left leg up to the sky. Now I want you to for a second just arch the back, feel what that's like. We're not going to arch, we're going to round. Sometimes doing the opposite first helps to really get that into our head. So round through the body. Think about pointing your sitting bones up to the sky. You might hug beneath your left thigh. You might take a little tiny sway side to side. This is where the foam roller will probably fall out from beneath your butt. It's okay if it does. You can always pop back on there. Take a big inhale. Unravel. Bring both knees into your chest. Now, whether they're together or they kind of open up, it's up to you and kind of whatever feels best. But eventually, set both feet on the floor and then cross your left over your right. Pull the left leg up. And again, start by arching so you know what not to do. And then reverse it. We might hug beneath our right leg, pulling it in. You can take a little sway, little wiggle. And then unravel both knees back into your chest. If you want to, really hold onto the foam roller so it doesn't shoot away from you. And this time, maybe start to unfold your legs. If you do not straighten them all the way and they're just bent almost like a happy baby or into your chest, that's fine. If you can reach your feet further away, that's great. Sometimes I usually do one hand at a time so it doesn't feel like the foam roller is gonna slide away, but I'll hug around one leg, either around my thigh or around my calf or even up by my toes and kind of pull it a little closer. Same thing, other side. If I'm feeling lucky, I'll try and do both, but I feel like it's gonna fall out from beneath me, but we're going that direction anyway, so it's okay if it does. Eventually do grab the foam roller, let it kind of scooch out, push it away. I do not know if I have space. I won't bump into my plants. Let both feet just dangle on the foam roller if you've got it. If not, feet on the floor, that's perfectly fine. And just stretch from your toes through your body out to your fingers. Does it feel good to lightly arch the back or to imprint the spine? Maybe it feels good to kind of move through that space. And then walk your feet in. Roll to one side. Push yourself up to a seat. And a great big pat on the back. Thank yourself for doing something so good and just for you today. I hope you enjoyed our delightfully, lovely, wonderful hip, back, leg kind of stretching day. I hope you had a wonderful rest of your day, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me.